Hello and welcome to the very first episode of our brand new YouTube series, Beyond the Cup, where we're going to be diving into everything behind the scenes Canada Beer Cup. So I'm here with Joe Wiebe today, who is one of our 2024 Canada Beer Cup head judges. And my name is Hilary Hoogsteen. I'm the competition manager for the Canada Beer Cup. So hey Joe, how's it going?
Great, Hillary. Nice to see you. And hi, everybody. Nice to see you all too.
And how are things on the West Coast? How's the weather?
It's great. It's a little cloudy today, but I'm hoping it'll clear up. I'm an avid cyclist, as you might know, and I'm really looking forward to getting back on my bike. I just got home from a long holiday visiting family in Winnipeg, so I wasn't on my bike there because there was lots of snow on the ground there still. But anyway, hoping to get on my bike soon and get out and enjoy some sunshine.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be coming to BC in October because we just announced that our gala is going to be taking place in New West in conjunction with the BC Brewers Conference, and you're going to be emceeing this year.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. It's actually the day before my birthday too, so it's like prime
Mm.
time for me. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. The BC Craft Brewers Association, Craft Brewers Guild, I guess they're called, have been putting on this conference for annually for several years now, and it's last couple of years they've been doing it at the Anvil Center in New Westminster, and it's a fantastic location for a conference. Really works well. And New West is a great community with a couple of local breweries that are both excellent, Another Beer Co. and Steel and Oak Brewing. So I'm sure folks who are in attendance will have a fun time to check out those places. But yeah, it's going to be really cool to announce the recipients of the Canada Beer Cup Awards and of course the Canada Beer Cup itself this year. Fingers crossed it'll stay in BC after the last couple of years here, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, and speaking of Steel and Oak, I just got the okay to announce that the official awards after party is going to be at Steel and Oak. So it's going to be super fun evening because we're having the awards a little bit earlier. They're going to be at 4 p.m. Or sorry, 5 p.m. And then it's usually about a 2 hour run time. And then we're going to have an after party this year, and the event will be live streamed again. So that's why we had the earlier start time so we could accommodate all the time zones across Canada. So it's going to be a really special evening, and hopefully we get lots of out of town breweries as well as our BC folks. So
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a really fun time, and that way everybody will get a chance to see the awards and also to enjoy a beverage or two afterwards. So that's great.
yeah. And as you mentioned, both our 2022 and our 2023 Best in Show winners were BC breweries. So 2022 was, of course, Callister Brewing, and then 2023 was Deadfall up in Prince George. So the beautiful glass trophy is currently on display up there. I'm curious if you have any insights on whether that's a coincidence or is BC just making the best beer? Like, why do you think that is?
Well, the second thing you said, BC makes the best beer for sure. But no, I mean, it's funny because over the years, I've been charting the progress of BC beer for more than a decade now. And, BC breweries have always done well in award competitions internationally and across the country. And it's always been something where we've said, well, they're punching above their weight, so to speak, right? Because you have such a huge number of a much larger number of breweries in Ontario and Quebec, and you always think, well, how come BC manages to do so well in competition with them? So, one of the things I've thought about over the years is that a lot of brewers, like a lot of people, end up on the West Coast who have done things elsewhere, right? So they come with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. Because West Coast is kind of a destination for a lot of people who, enjoy the climate here and the beautiful landscape and everything, and the progressive politics and things like that. So sometimes I look around at the brewers that we have here and I think, wow, they're really accomplished people. They've done a lot of things before they got here. So whether that's part of it, who knows? But generally speaking, there's also a really good, strong community among the brewers, and they really encourage each other and really, support each other. And so maybe there's a bit of that in the sense that they're all kind of helping each other improve too. But yeah, just to go back to the names you mentioned, Callister Brewing and Deadfall Brewing, they're both really small breweries. Now, Callister has actually since closed, which is a bit sad, although it was kind of, they have this soda brand that they started, and they've shifted to that basically because their lease got really too expensive for them to operate. So someone else has moved into their space, which is called Cow Dog Brewing. don't know much about them yet, but Callister is going to continue to make their sodas, and of course the winning the Canada Beer Cup was kind of like the big trophy. Well, it is a big trophy, but the big reward at the end of their kind of I think about a decade in operation. And then Deadfall, I visited them a couple of years ago on a BC Trail kind of media trip up northern BC with a bunch of writers, and they had just opened. Super keen, really interesting people. Three of the four owners are PhDs, really smart people, obviously, making great beer as well, obviously. And it was, a shock to them and to a lot of people that they would win out of all the people. But they're doing a great job up there, and it's really great to shine a spotlight on a small brewery like that maybe goes, somewhat unnoticed otherwise. So very, very cool. And yeah, I'm super excited to see which brewery from BC hopefully will win the Canada Beer Cup this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really special as a competition organizer to get to provide that exposure to a smaller brewery. Of course, anyone that wins something of that caliber is going to be excited, but to be able to put them on the world stage, because they also get their World Beer Cup entry when you win Best in Show. And this year we're going to be giving a World Beer Cup entry to first, second, and third for the Best in Show winners. So World Beer Cups come on as a bit of a stronger partner this year, which we are very excited about. But yeah, to bring a smaller brewery from a remote location, in the case of Deadfall, and say like your beer is world class is a pretty cool thing that we get to do to recognize them. So we will see what 2024 brings, whether that cup's going to stay in BC and save me some shipping costs, or whether one of our Eastern breweries will snatch it out of your paws. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see when it all shakes out.
I also like the fact, if I can just continue on that a bit, is that the type of beer that won was a brown ale, which is like, a lot of people would call it a nondescript beer style. Like it's not something that people really, the brewers really go out. Well, the brewers love it. I shouldn't say that, but it doesn't grab a lot of attention, right? It's not the kind of big like hazy IPA or bourbon barrel aged something or whatever it is that really grabs people's attention. And so it's really cool to me that sort of style of beer was the one that shone above all the rest. And yeah, it says something about the quality of beer across Canada, as well as I think kind of the idea of how craft beer evolves, right? Because we've had these phases where, first it was like the sours, the fruited sours and things like that. I mean, they're still very popular. I'm not saying they're not popular, but where they grab all the attention. And then you have like the hazies or, hazy IPAs or that's what everybody is talking about and drinking. But then, but then I love to see the fact that we have this brown ale that's stood up above all the rest of those. And that's really interesting to
Yeah,
me.
totally. Because it's not the sexiest beer style. And I know
Exactly.
Brandon was saying, like, previous to winning the award, like they even considered taking it off the roster, I think. He was like, it's
Yeah.
nobody's favorite. And then of course they won the award and had a huge influx of requests for it, which was pretty neat.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that if a beer is very well done in its style, regardless of style, the beer can receive that recognition. So I think that's pretty cool. And that Best in Show was unanimous decision as well. So that was kind of cool to see when we were doing that final round of judging. Of course, it's all blind, and we had our judges from around the world. We had a couple of folks from Europe and the US, and they unanimously chose that Deadfall Brown Ale. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get a chance to chat with the folks from Deadfall on our new little web series here, and we can dive into all the details about what makes that beer so special.
Hmm.
So I'm curious, you judged with us both the 2 years that we've held Canada Beer Cup, 2022 and 2023. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested to hear like some of your experience being on our judging panel versus, like, I know you've done judging elsewhere, and what do you think kind of makes Canada Beer Cup stand out as far as a national competition in Canada?
Well, I mean, the main thing is the breadth and quality of the judges, for sure. That was the thing that really stood out to me from year one, where I, had been judging in previous years. I've judged a little bit with the BC Beer Awards, and then regularly with the Okanagan Festival in Penticton every year. And not to say that the judges aren't good, but they're mostly just local folks who judge here in BC. So my first day, judging with all these people from not only across Canada, but from the United States and from Europe, and even I think South America, there were some folks from there. It was really exciting. And getting to talk to those people about their experiences, about what beer is like in their home countries or their home regions, and what the judging is like for them, and the types of places, the types of competitions they've judged in. It was just really eye-opening and really, really exciting for me. And then just the actual judging itself, the seriousness and the professionalism that went into it was great. It was really something that I admired and I was glad to be part of. And yeah, I think it showed up in the quality of, well, obviously the beers themselves are the ones that are being awarded, but it showed up, I think, in terms of the just the results were really clear, based on the high quality of the judging. And I think that was something I really enjoyed. And that, so year one was kind of eye-opening. Year two was just a reaffirmation of that for me. And then in terms of how it's organized, I think you guys do a great job. So there's that too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really, I think, important with a national competition to try as much as possible to counter any like regional palettes. We hear a lot about that. And so it's a pretty key area of focus when we recruit the judging panel to make sure we have for sure coast to coast representation as far as our Canadian judges, but then bringing in those outside perspectives as far as the European judges and having kind of a healthy representation from the US. Of course, last year we judged in Niagara Falls, so it's very accessible for us to bring in US judges. And we're going to be back there as well for our 2024 judging in Niagara Falls. So I'm really excited to see the panel that the three of you are able to put together. We didn't even touch on that there's 3 head judges this year. So
Great.
you being one of them. And then we've also got Dave Cole, who folks may recognize from Prairie Beer Awards. He comes with heaps of experience, and he's also the BJCP assistant rep for the Northern region. And then we've got Lauren Ricard as well, who's a Toronto local, and she is sort of a sensory expert, really knowledgeable individual as far as the experience that she brings. So having the 3 of you put your heads together, I think we're in for a really, really strong year for 2024. And I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's been really cool getting to know them a bit. We've just sort of started working together, and I think it's a really good mix of people. As you mentioned, Dave has his background running the Prairie Beer Awards, and he is just super well organized and so knowledgeable about all the judging, categories and systems and all the things that the different competitions do. So it's really great to have his input into the mix as we're planning things out with the categories and the styles and all that. And then also Lauren is just so smart, as you mentioned, about beer styles and about sensory evaluation, and just also very well organized and super connected in the community. So that's been great. And it's really interesting as we start talking about judges to bring in and the types of people we want to try to get. And, I think it's going to be a really good mix of people, of judges, and a really diverse mix. And that's something that we're really excited about trying to achieve. And one of the things we noticed, and everybody's noticed kind of in the first year, was there weren't a lot of women there, and that's something we really want to address. We certainly hope we can bring that up closer to 50-50 or better. It's a challenging thing to do in the industry. I mean, there is a much larger, proportion of male judges out there, but that's something we're really working on for sure. So hopefully we can get that up to that, what it should be,
Yeah, I'm excited to see that happen this year. And interestingly, the organizational team is actually female led for Canada Beer Cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christina Santone was leading it in 2022, and she still remains on as a consultant. And then I've been on as competition manager, and of course our CCBA executive director is also a woman. So it'll be very neat to see that also reflected in our judging panel.
Mhm.
What are, other than kind of that really key change with the three of you being on board as head judges. What other 2024 changes are you looking forward to for this year?
Oh, I'm trying to think what other changes there are. I mean, I'm excited about some of the styles. We're still finalizing the styles, but we're looking at trying to introduce a couple of different, unique styles for the breweries to enter their beers into, and that'll be good once that shapes out. And it'll be exciting to see what the breweries bring to the table. I don't know. You got to remind me what else is new, Hillary. I can't remember.
Yeah, well, we've got our the feature category, as you kind of alluded to. So Hops Connect Canada has come on as a key sponsor once again this year. And so our feature category is going to be a beer featuring Sasquatch hops, which I think is a really fun opportunity for breweries to get creative, like within kind of one lane. And then Hops Connect generously is giving discounts on Sasquatch hops for our entrants as well. So it'll give them like a neat opportunity to maybe like try a new pilot and see how it goes for the competition and maybe get some recognition. And then I know we're still kind of early days, of course, with some of the changes to the score sheets and that kind of thing. So that's probably why they're not front of mind for you just yet. But I know you guys are looking at some more exhaustive score sheets and most likely going to be providing numerical scores. So we're really this year taking that feedback we got from breweries, which has been very positive overall. And anywhere that they've highlighted that they want to see some improvements made, we're taking that feedback very, very to heart because we know from an organizational perspective that this is, a challenging year for the industry and every dollar counts. So we want to, at least from my perspective, really be sure that breweries are getting a lot of value when they enter the competition. We've always been, I think, very strong on our judging side and our marketing side. And so we're just kind of doubling down in both areas. How can we elevate our winners even more? And how can we also make sure that every entry is receiving a scorecard they can bring back to their brewer and have constructive critiques that they can then improve recipes or, maybe find flaws that an untrained palate wouldn't be able to detect.
Yeah, all that. That's good. For sure. Yeah, I mean, just continuing on that note a little bit, I think the obviously the beers that win awards get a lot of benefits from their local communities, their local media, things like that. Really notice that here in BC when a beer wins any kind of medal, even like a third place or something in a category, the attention that can get them from their local communities is really fantastic, and they usually see a big uptick in sales for that beer, or at least a lot of more interest in the brewery, which is great. And as we've seen over the years, I mean, sometimes it's the beer you least expect can win. So for a lot of breweries, they might think, like Deadfall's probably patting themselves on the back that they entered that beer, even though they weren't sure if they were even going to continue making it. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're in for a great year. And I guess another new piece for 2024 is our packaging awards. So I'll
All
be
right.
having Amber on later and we'll be chatting about that some more. That's going to be taking place completely digitally. So it's a really cool opportunity for a brewery that might be a little more remote and not able to absorb shipping costs. They could enter the packaging awards because they don't have to ship any physical product. Or of course, our hope is that breweries will enter both. And they'll ship beer to be evaluated by the beer judges, and then they'll also enter a few of their design submissions into the packaging awards and maybe get some recognition for both. As sort of someone with a marketing background, I think it's a neat opportunity to get recognition for other areas of your team. It's often the brewers being recognized, and often the designers and the marketers play a really key role in whether a great beer gets picked up or not. And so being able to provide them with that constructive feedback on their designs and also get some recognition for really standout beer labels and bottle labels, I think is going to be a neat addition to the competition this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's marketing, the labels, especially, and the packaging that a lot of breweries, come up with for their products has always been a huge part of the craft beer industry, and it's really cool to see the new styles and designs that they come up with every year. And some breweries obviously have made a name for themselves almost purely on their design. Not that the beer is secondary, but they get so much attention and they develop their audience partially through that. So the beer is almost like the reward on top then. But yeah, it's great. It'll be really cool to see what they come up with and who the big winners are in that category too.
Cool. Yeah. So entries for the 2024 competition open May 20th, I believe is the date that's on the calendar. And so there's going to be an early bird period where breweries that are organized and on top of things can save themselves some money. And then we'll go into regular pricing after that. And I believe they're going to be closing around the end of June. So breweries can mark their calendars and be sure and get everything ready. We'll have our style categories published ahead of time so that breweries can take a look and see which beers they might want to enter for the 2024 awards. And then they'll be able to purchase gala tickets through the BC conference website. Hopefully they'll come out to the whole conference because I've heard it's a great conference. I haven't had a chance to go myself yet, but we hope they'll join for the entire conference. And then the awards are going to be on the Friday night with an after party at Steel and Oak. So it's going to be a pretty fun week, I think.
Yeah, once you come out to BC, well, Hilary, you know, because you lived in BC, but for the rest of you folks, if you're going to come out to BC, just be warned, you might never want to come back and might never want to go back, right? So
exactly, yeah.
you get hooked once you're in BC. One thing I wanted to add, we didn't mention this when we were talking about the judges, is we do have an application portal for judges on the website for Canada Beer Cup, and if breweries, if you're watching this and you know of some local folks who might be in your community who might be good choices, like we don't know everybody and we're trying to reach out to the community at large, but spread the word and we might be someone who fits the bill and would really work out to be a great part of the team. And I think you also look for volunteer stewards, right, Hilary? Is that something that people can apply for?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the application for both judges and stewards is on the Canada Beer Cup website. It's just right on the judges page. And stewarding is a ton of fun. It's a great way for people that are interested in the industry to get a little bit more involved, or even for somebody that thinks they might go for their judging credentials down the road, or is just kind of starting out in that path. Sign up to be a steward. It is a volunteer opportunity, but there's some pretty fun perks, and you get to kind of like look behind the curtain a little bit and see how a competition works. So I would really encourage folks to volunteer as a steward and get in on the fun and just get more involved with the competition in that way. It's a really cool opportunity. I'm actually going to be going and doing it down at World Beer Cup in Las Vegas as a steward, so that I can see how a competition of that scale kind of runs behind the scenes. And so it's a fun role for sure.
Well, that'll be cool. Las Vegas, eh?
Yeah. That's coming up quick.
How long is that competition? How many days?
They do their judging in phases. So they've had, I think, one phase already, or it's happening shortly. And then they do kind of their final phase of judging right before their conference down there.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah,
I think touching on the steward thing, like you mentioned, if people are looking to get into the industry, in some sort of capacity with a brewery, I think it would look great on the resume, right? To say you were a steward at the Canada Beer Cup. I think that's pretty cool. It'll be a good way to show your interest and just to gain some knowledge and experience for sure.
absolutely. And you get BJCP points, and you get to kind of rub shoulders with all these world-class judges. So it is pretty neat. Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to add, Joe, before we kind of wrap things up?
Yeah, nothing's really coming to mind. I mean, I'm obviously looking forward to it. In a week or so, I'm heading to Penticton to be at the Festival there and to be judging beers there over a couple of days, which is always a lot of fun. So I'll be dipping my toe in the water there again with the judging. And so I'm looking forward to that. And then I'll be getting busy, especially getting ready for judging in the fall in September. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, yeah, as I mentioned, we're super excited to have you on board this year, and I'm really feeling really confident in our competition as we go into our third year. I think we're just getting better and better every year. So it's gonna be a really great competition year.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I hope breweries, if you're watching this, I really hope if you were on the fence about entering some of your beers, I really encourage you to do so. It's a really great experience. You never know, you might win something. And also, as Hilary said, we're going to really work on giving lots of productive and useful feedback. But it's just a good thing to do, and to get involved and to see how your beers stand up against competition from all across the country. It's always amazing. Some of the breweries, I've covered beer for a long time, but I'll hear about some brewery in like Newfoundland or some unusual place that I never even knew about. And it's really cool to not only hear about them and then, well, actually, I don't know what I'm tasting, so I can't say if I'm tasting their beers or not, but theoretically, I'm tasting their beer at some point. So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Joe, and appreciate you taking the time this morning. I know it's somewhat early for you still, but
well, I'm just drinking coffee so far, not the beer.
yeah, I know. I thought we'd have a beer together, and then I realized, oh, wait a second, it's still early. So well, next time. Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers. Nice to see you.